Hello and welcome to Sports Room. I'm Anirudh Madhavan and with me is veteran journalist Ayaz Memon. On today's episode, we'll be previewing the fourth test between India and England at Ranchi. Now, currently, India are 2-1 up in the series, but England captain Ben Stokes has said that they can make it 3-2. So, let's start off with India, Ayaz. We know that Jasprit Bumrah has been rested and KL Rahul is still not 100% and can't come back into the team. But now, you know that India cannot absolutely replace Bumrah in the red hot form that he is in. But what do you think they can do? Do you think they'll go with the two pacers again, or maybe get in an extra spinner or an extra batter? What are you hearing about the pitch?
Well, I think that's the big question, isn't it? And it's a very crucial question because not having Bumrah actually releases the pressure on England. It relieves them. He's been their nemesis in all the three matches, and he's been getting the big wickets, Joe Root, or he's getting Ben Stokes, or the top order batsman. And when a bowler like that, who's the most threatening, isn't there, then the batsmen start breathing a little easy. So I think that's a really big call for India to take. How they have read the pitch remains to be seen, whether it'll be Akash Deep partnering Mohammad Siraj, whether it'll be Mukesh Kumar, or whether it'll be just Siraj himself, all by himself, and the rest are all spinners in the attack. That's really a very crucial decision that has to be made by Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma. Because the rest of the batting, of course, settles itself, and you've got Jadeja in terrific form. The top order has been firing on all cylinders, including Rohit Sharma. KL Rahul missing out again. One of the things which has perplexed me throughout the season, and it's for both teams actually, more so for India because they're playing at home, is the absenteeism. People falling ill or not recovering in time or being rested. And this is a marquee series. This is a series which hasn't yet been won by India. We are leading in the series, but there are two test matches still to be played. So I would have actually thought that, they would have played Bumrah, tried to win the series, seal the fate of the series here in this match. And then, of course, if he deserves the rest or if he wants the rest, give it to him in the last test. But of course, this is from the outside. One doesn't really know exactly the situation, what has forced or what has compelled the Indian team management to take that decision.
Yeah. So let's talk about England now. What do you think their game plan will be after that huge loss at Rajkot? And how do you think they'll come back? And there's been talk of maybe getting Ollie Robinson into the team. So what do you think their game plan will be?
I think their biggest problem is getting enough runs from Root and from Stokes, especially Root. Stokes has got a couple of decent knocks, hasn't got the really big one, and Joe Root hasn't got a big knock at all. So I think their biggest problem is, apart from a very inexperienced spin complement, all the spinners are so fresh and so new, and yet they've done reasonably well, especially Tom Hartley. They've been a little expensive, which you would expect them to be against Indian batsmen playing on Indian pitches. But if the spinners are not going to be really effective, as we've seen, when I say really effective, I mean match winning, getting wickets in a cluster, which Hartley did in the first test match. And, subsequently, India seems to have overcome that, setback, the first test setback. But they need runs. Even if you've got an inexperienced bowling lineup which is trying its utmost, they need runs to protect or to defend. And they're not getting sufficient number of runs. We saw that in the last test match, in the third test match. Uh, England were poised to make a decent score, just couldn't do it. 124 for 2 at one stage and at breakneck speed. And then they just collapsed for addition of 100 runs more. And the second innings was a complete debacle. So unless they get the runs from the top order, and especially Joe Root, I'm afraid there'll be more strife and struggle for them.
Yeah, and I would also like to add Johnny Bairstow to your list because he was one of the poster boys of baseballs. Anyway, now the next thing is not a question to you per se, I asked, but I just wanted to address it because there has been so much vitriol and speculation on social media. We now know why Virat Kohli was absent. He's just welcomed his second child, this time a boy with wife Anushka Sharma. And that's all we're going to say on the subject. We'll move on. In other good news, we saw a viral clip of Rishabh Pant keeping in the nets. So he seems to be ready for a comeback. But while that might be really great for him and the team, how do you motivate someone like a Dhruv Jurel who played brilliantly in that last test? Because this man is going to reclaim his spot as soon as he's fit.
Well, I think, look, that's that comes with the turf now. If you're a wicket-keeper batsman in India, then that problem will be there because you've got a plethora of such players now. There's Rishabh Pant who's on his comeback trail. There's Ishan Kishan, it's become a saga in itself. about Ishan Kishan, how he was in the team, now he's no longer in the team, will he come back into the team? Then there's Jurel, who made such an impressive debut in the previous match. So there is going to be, and remember, this is something that was played out even earlier. Parthiv Patel, MS Dhoni, Dinesh Karthik, and Dhoni held his own for the better part of 12, 15 years. So the other two who actually made their debut earlier before Dhoni had to just wait and wait and wait for their opportunity to come, and they got very few of those. So this is coming. It's a bit of a problem. This is a problem which is becoming endemic in Indian cricket, not just for the wicketkeeper batsmen, amongst fast bowlers, amongst spinners. So these are things that young players will have to take in their stride, these challenges, and they have to keep their focus intact and their determination and their ambition, because you never know when you might get a call up, and then you have to be prepared to do well. And if you don't do well, then you lose your place, to somebody else. So I think this is a challenge that a lot of young cricketers are facing. It's also true, Anirudh, isn't it? In the top order, we've seen if you don't do well, your place goes and somebody else comes and notches up runs aplenty, and then you have to wait for your turn to come. Imagine in a home series, Chetesh playing without Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane. I know, they've been in and out of the test team in the previous few years, but by no means are they very old cricketers. And they've been doing, at least Pujara has been doing fantastically well in domestic cricket. So the story really in Indian cricket is, when you get an opportunity, you make sure that you don't squander it.
Yeah. And lastly, we'll move away from the series a bit. We should talk about the second season of the WPL, which is starting tomorrow in Bangalore. So, unlike last time where all the matches were played in Mumbai, this time this tournament is split between Delhi and Bangalore, and the same 5 teams are playing. So, what are you expecting from the second season of the WPL, Ayaz?
I see better performances, because it took a little while for players to get used to the fact of playing a tournament like this, and then of course, getting used to the conditions, especially overseas players. Some of the marquee overseas players didn't do really well last time, so I expect them to start doing well. Somebody like an Ellis Perry, for instance, and then I think the fact that it's going to be played in two venues poses its own challenge. One of the things we know in league cricket is that travel can get you fatigued, or take you away from your, distract you and so on. These are things that the women cricketers have to come to terms with. What remains to be done, I think, for women's cricket, and especially in the WPL, is that they need to get perhaps a couple of more teams in, but that will take a while, because you need enough depth of cricketing talent across in women's cricket across the world, not just in India.
Yeah. So as I said, the WPL starts tomorrow, as does the India-England test. So a lot of cricket coming up, and we'll keep you posted. We'll be doing a review of the fourth test in Ranchi. So that's it for this episode of Sports Room. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Anirudh. Thank you. Bye bye.